Dr. Del Carmen, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Hey, doctor, we wanted to have you come on and talk about this shooting situation that happened in Fort Lauderdale and what people should do if they find themselves in a situation like those people at the Fort Lauderdale International Airport found themselves in today.
You know, it's hard to say because obviously every one of these shooting instances and episodes has carried out a different technique and a different tactic. But typically the general rule is to simply evade engaging with the suspect at all costs. I mean, hide, run, and at the very last resort, if it is imminent that you are facing the enemy, at that point engage that individual, because at the end of the day you have a survivability rate that goes much higher by engaging that person than by simply just falling prey to their every need. But the general rule is to obviously evade and run and get out of harm's way right away.
It actually kind of surprised me that this man came out of it alive because he managed to murder 5 people. He wounded 8 people, and I know that could have happened literally in the first few seconds that he began firing. But unlike a lot of other public places, international airports tend to be very well protected. They routinely, I mean, the airport I fly in and out of when I have to travel for business, I walk past people that are very well armed and very well equipped, and they're stationed all over the airport. They're literally within maybe 100 yards at most of any place within that airport. And so only a gunman who decides to begin shooting people and does it very quickly, you'd think could get away with it for very long at all.
No, that's exactly right. And I was also equally shocked as well. But what I think happened, and of course we're getting snippets of information, you know, as the hours evolve from the shooting this afternoon or this morning. But what we know so far is that the individual surrendered as soon as he saw law enforcement come in. And then at that point, of course, law enforcement is trained to neutralize the individual by handcuffing the person, taking them into custody, and not shooting them if they're not shooting at someone at that point. But if those law enforcement officers would have responded, would have been there maybe 5-10 seconds prior to this guy putting the weapon on the floor and being subdued by law enforcement, my guess is they would have shot and neutralized the threat.
Absolutely. And in fact, I'm not suggesting that they should shoot somebody who's not an active threat, because that should be the standard. Whether you're a private citizen or a police officer, you shoot to neutralize a threat. But if the threat is already neutralized, you don't simply take the man's life. That wouldn't be lawful. And that's absolutely. And I'm not expecting the police to, to be there seconds after the man walks out of a bathroom with a gun and begins shooting. There's no way in the world that we could expect law enforcement to be that prescient.
That's exactly right. And even in the most, best equipped, best scenarios of law enforcement at all airports throughout the United States, and those airports that you mentioned that they're armed and ready to go, I mean, we cannot expect cops to be everywhere all the time ready to go. And the reality is it does take some time to respond, and it varies by where they are and all that. And of course, in this case, the individual arrived from a local flight and then went on to check his luggage and then remove the weapon from his luggage, loaded it up in the bathroom, and came out shooting at people. So very hard to predict that.
Dr. Del Carmen, it's a pleasure. I'm sorry we had phone problems earlier, but thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.